some good bare ground.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day, baby. Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna do a quick little project today. I thought I'd bring you along because I don't know how this project's gonna turn out. So what I mean by that is I'm on a neighbor's property. I have permission to hunt. They got 100 acres. This will be the first season that I will be hunting it, so I'm excited. They got some interesting land. They got about half of it is fields and half of it is woods. There's some really wild, steep terrain. There is corn planted by another neighbor, a farmer who usually cuts the fields for hay. They planted corn this year, which is amazing, because the last couple of years I've been at this property, at our property, I've not seen any corn growing here. So that's exciting because I already got a couple stands up, and we're putting one up down on a bench here that I was going to show to you. But anyway, I was starting to put this stand up last weekend, and I don't know how I didn't get stung, but there ended up being a yellow jacket nest in the ground, like just a couple feet from the base of the tree. And I was like throwing my gear around. I had stepped over it multiple times. And then finally I spotted a couple yellow jackets flying around me, and I kind of stepped away, and then I saw them going into the hole. So then I had some gear laying there kind of near the hole, and so more were starting to show up, and they were starting to swarm. So I didn't get stung, but I left, and I want to get back here and get this stand up. I'm going to see if I could do it without pissing them off, right? Without stepping over it, you know, throwing gear down near the hole. I'm going to try to just get my stuff together and get up in the tree and get the stand hung before they get all swarmed up. So I don't, you know, they're not out to get you, but I'm just gonna try not to disturb them too much and see how it goes. So I thought I'd bring you along. So anyone else been dealing with yellow jackets this year? It's been crazy. We've had multiple nests on our property. I've gotten stung once already. We had them getting into the logs on the log cabin. I mean, it seems like they're all over the place this year, and the last couple of years I haven't had to deal with them. So anyone else seeing that? Let me know. All right, let's get to it. All right, guys, I'm walking down. We will cautiously approach the tree. I was going to tell you a little bit about this spot. So we're on a bench right here. I don't know if you could kind of tell. It's really grown up, but there's a little bench here, and then it runs out to a pipeline about 100 yards that way. Polaris is parked up there. There's an old trail here that kind of goes up, and after doing some scouting and stuff, this seemed like a really ideal area, a nice funnel pinch point type setup. And the reason being is because over here, and I'm going to show you here in a moment, it is a bluff drop pretty much. You couldn't walk down it. It drops almost straight down into a very deep valley, and there's a big creek down there. Don't know if you could hear it, but it is flowing pretty heavy. We've had some storms last night. But this just drops straight down. You can kind of see the trees and stuff from here. Maybe you could hear that rumbling of the creek. But anyway, what you have here, deer are not going to be meandering on that drop off. So up here you got this nice bench, and benches are great hot spots to hunt. So there's a trail here right on the edge of the bluff, and it actually circles up here, meets the main trail. There's a main trail that runs the bench here, another main trail that runs up to where my Polaris is. So what you have here is a hub of trails intersecting. That's what you want. A trail like this is a little more discreet. It's downwind of the main trails. A lot of times that's what your big mature bucks are going to use. And then you got the main trails up here, which they could pop out on at any point in time. At the top there, where you can see some daylight, it flattens out, and that's where the fields start. That's where the corn's at. And from here, that's maybe 150 yards. And so this would be a great spot to get into in the afternoon and catch these deer moving up to feed in the dark, right? Catch these big boys staging and here on this bench before they move up closer to the corn when the night falls. So I think this is going to be a really great spot. I'm excited about it. The tree we're going to be going to is right there. You can see I had the stand partially up. The stand's at the base of the tree. We're going to go see what the yellow jacket situation is. All right, guys, so here's that drop off. I mean, it's almost straight down. You definitely could not climb down that. And so our tree's right up here. So I'm gonna see if I can spot these yellow jackets. Oh, I see them. I see them. Okay, so there, it was a little further to the right by this log here. So you could see my rope. That's my lifeline. And my lifeline's laying like right over the hole, basically. So let me just see what type of activity. Yeah, you can see him flying in and out. I don't know if you can see it. And I'm hoping we can get that rope, get geared up. There's one hovering right next to me here. All right, that one was hovering next to me. That might have been a guard, one of those soldiers. I did bring hornet spray. I don't really want to screw with them because if I spray at them, it's just going to piss them off. And next thing you know, we're going to have a swarm and we're not going to be able to do this at all. So I'm hoping I can get this rope. I'm already geared up. I already got my harness and everything on. Really, all I need to do is I got my fanny pack. I need to just get that rope because I have it attached to the stand there. I got this section to put up, get climbed up there. I think once I get up there, I'll be fine. It's just getting that rope without, whoa, that one flew right at me. Getting that rope without pissing them off. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to get this rope without getting stung. They're just flying in and out. I mean, they're not messing with me. I had a couple checking me out, but they don't seem too pissed off that I'm just standing here. I'm just 4 or 5 feet from the hole in the ground. So let me see if I can. They're just kind of flying in and out. Let's see if I can grab that rope. Okay, I got the rope. Just trying to. Okay, I got the rope. They're not swarming me. Actually, when I pulled the rope out, they just continue going in and out of the hole like it was no big deal. I'm gonna finish getting geared up. I'm watching them fly in and out. You know, it's like 2 or 3 at a time, and I don't know how big that nest is, but we'll see if we can just finish getting geared up. We did the hard part, which was grabbing that rope without getting stung, and they didn't get flustered about it either. I'm just kind of watching them. They're coming in and out. They're not bothered by me. So I'm going to leave them alone. And I would expect them to leave me alone as well. So, all right. We don't want to get all flustered by these yellow jackets and then trip and then fall down into the deep valley. That wouldn't be too good at all. Alright guys, well, I've successfully navigated past the yellow jackets and up into the tree here, getting this additional section of the ladder put on, and I'm probably going to have to use some screw-ins because we got a pretty good elevation change from the bench up here to the tree here, And I don't want to be sitting too low. You know, when you look at that elevation change, I might only be, you know, 15 feet up instead of 20, 25. So we're probably going to use some screw ends after we get that one gone. After we get that one secured, and then we'll haul up the stand. We're well above the yellow jackets. I could see them flying around down there. I don't know if you could see them, but they're doing their own thing. I'm gonna do my own thing, and we should be good. So I got you mounted on my head so you can come along for the ride. But yeah, look at the drop over here. Kind of see it. It's just a straight drop. It's pretty wild. You can see the trees growing up. I can't see that creek, but I could hear it. It's rumbling. Oh, there it is. I can see it right through there. Pretty cool. All right, guys, let's continue with this stand here. All right, guys, well, bit of a shit show here today. So I thought the real challenge was going to be these yellow jackets, which they weren't a problem at all. But I got up towards the top of my ladders, which are 20 feet tall, and I realized that I was going to have to go much higher to really get above the bench here, and that it would require at least another, 10 feet or so, which would put me 30 feet or more. And it was just getting a little crazy. So the other thing I realized, there's a huge dead tree over here, a really giant old dead tree, and from the ground you could see that it's leaning towards the bench, so if it fell, it probably wouldn't come towards me. But what I didn't realize is the further I got up, I could see further up that dead tree, which is right out here, and you can't see further up because of the canopy. It's just so thick with these maples and stuff that are over here. And I realized that there's a section up there, a big section on this dead tree leaning towards me. So I was like, that may not be good, right? So that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes, right? You pick out a great tree, perfect for the wind, direction of travel, things like that. There's no other trees right in that vicinity that would work. But from a safety perspective, I'm gonna have to be 30 feet or more up. I got a big giant dead tree with the top of it leaning towards me while it leans towards the bench. So it could be very unpredictable how that may fall. So I decided, with all of these factors, the yellow jacket nest, the big dead tree, the excessive height that I would have to go up, maybe it's the universe trying to tell me something. I was so honed in on this tree, and maybe I should just chill out, because there is plenty of other great trees that could work in here. I just need to find one that's going to work for getting shots at the main trail, the discrete secondary trail, the trail that splits up, and try to go from there and make it work, right? So we're going to do that next. So I've already got the climbing sticks down. I just got to retrieve the rest of the gear, and then I'll show you kind of what I look for and how I put this all together when looking for an ideal spot. So that was an ideal spot, but there was some factors working against us. That happens. So we're going to give it a go. There's plenty of other trees in here. We just got to find some that work, and it may not work for every wind direction or every trail. So you just got to find you just got to connect the dots and find a tree that could potentially work for most wind, most trails. It doesn't always happen, but we may have to avoid hunting here on specific winds. We may not have a perfect shot at every trail, right? That one could have worked, but it wasn't. So let's see what we can find here. All right, so I've spent the last 20 minutes or so really examining this area, and I came up with a couple trees. One is a great tree. It's nice and wide. It's got a good profile. It sits back far enough from the main trail that you probably wouldn't be spotted from any of the trails. But the problem is most of the shots are pretty far. So I found a secondary tree. The tree isn't perfect, and it's this one right here. It's about 9 inches in diameter, maybe 8. So it's not real wide. It's probably the minimum you would want to use for a stand. but it's really solid. It's extremely tall, so it's, you know, you can't really shake it too much or anything like that, which is nice. It's a maple. It's got a pretty straight trunk, and then there's some good branch cover up there that could help you a little bit. You could brush it in a bit, but it's a great spot for wind. It's actually not far from the original tree. It's up closer to the main trail, but it's still far enough off of it where you could shoot onto that trail. And then it's close to the hub here where all the trails intersect, where I'm going to also be putting the mock scrape. So we're talking 15 to 20 yard shot. So you're really up close and personal on some of these trails. The main trail here, this secondary discrete trail, I mean, the trees right here, a deer pops out there, especially a big old mature buck. I mean, you could be at full draw ready to go. He's not going to know you're there, but it's going to be a close shot, you know, less than 15 yards, probably more like 12. And then you're going to probably have about a 15 to 20 yard shot to the mock scrape. It's about 12 yards off the main trail. And then you got a good 20-25 yards to all of the other trails meeting up here. It's great for the wind. The wind will be in your face. You sit here in the evening catching the deer moving up the ridge towards the corn. Your wind's going to be blowing down into that valley where the creek is. So perfect wind. A morning wind, you could get the thermals carrying your scent above most of these trails, so it could possibly work for morning. The only problem with morning is the only way to access this is cutting through the fields. There's really no other way, because there's other private property over here. You have a bluff drop over here. You can't come in from that way. So this would probably be more of an evening stand, afternoon stand. You are kind of risking it if you pop in the morning. Although one of the things you could do is, instead of coming in the dark in the morning, you could get to where I would park right in that kind of twilight area where it's getting light enough to see, but not completely light out. That way you can see if there's deer in the field. If there's deer in the field, you wait until they leave, then you get your butt over here. That could be a good way to do it in the morning. It'd be more of a later in the morning type of sit. You know, you're essentially giving yourself an hour before you come out, and you're coming in when it's actually getting light out. So that could be a good technique for morning. So I think this tree will work. I think it's going to be nice and solid. The downfall is it's a lot closer to some of these trails. You're going to be right on top of the deer, and the profile of the tree isn't real wide, so there's a potential of a deer looking right up at you, especially from the main trail over here. And if they're coming from way back there, they might spot that. So we could brush that in. We could do some brushing in, and it might be fine. But all these other trails, it's going to be beautiful. I mean, you're going to have 12, 15, 20 yard shots on most of these trails. So like I said, you might not be able to find a tree that's perfect for everything. This one's, I think, is going to be as close as we can get. There's plenty of trees up further here, but the problem is if you get up in any of these trees and you got these perfect 20 yard shots right here, in an evening sit, your scent's going to be just coming right down the hill, even if the wind's blowing opposite. Plus, your scent's going to blow onto the main trail if it's a southwest wind that way. So you really got to take into all the variables, right? Thermals, wind, shooting lanes, trails, how they intersect, how they move, how the deer are going to move through here. And just, you know, try to find a tree that's going to get you the highest percentage opportunity at a deer, especially a big boy. So I think this is going to be our best bet. So I think we're just going to go ahead and get back to climbing. Okay, so I got the ladder up. The bottom section broke one of the prongs off. So now I'm just using 4 sections, which is about 16, 17 feet high, something like that. I think so you can see it right there. It does kind of stick out, right? If I put the stand right there, it just seems still kind of low for the main trail here. But the trails over here are perfect, even only at that height. If I were to put the stand right at the top of that ladder, a deer popping out of there, I mean, his eyes are going to be up here. He's not going to see you there. Deer coming around this thick brush here, probably not going to see you there either, or even one that comes through the woods. So I do have some screw-in steps, so probably what I'm going to do is secure this ladder, throw in some screw-ins and get a little higher. I like to be at least, 20 feet high. I like to just get up nice and high, try to be above their line of sight. What I wanted to do was just double check, because the tree has a little jut there. It kind of juts out and then continues growing. I just wanted to make sure the stand is going to be straight if I get up as high as I want to be, because it angles a little bit there. But if I throw in a couple screw ins, I think I might be okay. Last thing I want to do is get this ladder secure, climb up there, haul the stand up, and realize that once I secure it, it's at too much of an angle, because the height I want to be is really right up in there, and that's right where that tree angles out. So I'm just trying to determine, is that enough of an angle to be a problem? If it is, I could come a little bit lower, but then I'm not at a height that I'm comfortable with. You know, I might be at 17, 18 feet right there, and I just, you know, there is a little bit of an elevation change here. So from the top of this trail, you might only be 15 feet high, and I just prefer to be higher. I really feel that mature bucks are so keen that if you're sitting at 15 feet, you're going to be lucky he doesn't bust you. But if he comes out any of these trails over here, right behind me, even over there, I think you're going to be able to be at full draw, not moving, and ready to release before he even peaks in that direction. Okay guys, so I got the stand all set, taking a seat in it. It's like I said, it's not perfect. This tree is kind of small, but I feel a lot higher than I expect it to be, which is good. There is a slight lean forward, but it's not too uncomfortable. This footrest here is perfect for that, because I'm leaning forward just a little. But I got shots. There's a trail that comes out here. There's one right here that also loops around, but this one's used a little bit more. Comes right through there. You'd have a good shot through there. I'm gonna have to trim some of these branches. But then we got the main trail there on the bench, and then that hub intersection of trails is right out here. I'm gonna have the mock scrape out there, and you could potentially have a deer come down that way too. So we're good for most shots. The wind, a southwest prevailing wind's gonna blow this way. An evening thermal's gonna pull your scent right down into that deep drop. So this could work really well. Even a morning stand, if you get in here, you're gonna have pretty strong thermals because of how strong that drop is there. Carry your scent above these trails. So what will happen is if you have a southwest wind and you got the thermal coming up, southwest wind would kind of blow it out. It would fall back down. Thermal would catch it, bring it up, fall back down, and so your scent's going to stay above these. As long as that temp is rising, obviously that's where you get the thermals. So I'm pretty excited about this. The tree isn't perfect. It's got a little bit of a lean, but sometimes you got to make it work, right? It's nice and secure. We got the lifeline up. The other thing too is I was worried about a deer coming down that trail being able to see us here. We are up high enough where he might not see us. A lot of these leaves are going to be down. The other thing I did was I have the profile of my stand broken up. If I was facing straight out, I'd be sticking way out in their line of view, but I'm actually facing this way because I'm left-handed. All my shots are going to kind of be on this side or straight ahead. If a deer happens to look up this way, as long as I got some brush right in here, he shouldn't really notice anything because the stand is not going to be sticking out into his line of view. It's sticking out this way, not perpendicular. It's parallel to the trail, so that's good. Plus, when he gets to this point, he's going to be turning, right? And then we could have a perfect shot right there. So I'm excited about it. I'm not excited about the tree, but you know, we just got to do what we got to do. So I'm going to finish with this. I'm going to put up a bow hanger, just make sure I got everything good and secure, and then I'm going to climb down, get that mock scrape made, throw up a camera, and then we'll be done for today. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and get the mock scrape set up now. Got the Polaris pulled up right here. I'm going to put it up in that branch coming off that tree. I got myself a nice vine over there I'm going to use, so I'll show you that. I'm going to put the GoPro on my head, but I'm going to use the Polaris to stand on to help get up to that branch. I already kind of made a little bit of a scrape there already, so I'll brush it out some more, and then we'll get a camera up, and then that'll be it for today. So I'm going to throw the camera on my head so you can get point of view, and we're almost done here. So it's been a heck of a few hours here. So this is what we're going to be using. I got this nice long vine. It's about 3/4 of an inch thick, and we're going to go ahead and hang that right up from there. Let that hang down and get that mock scrape going. That'll be our licking branch. Now the whole idea of doing this is to draw the attention of the deer here. I also want a mature buck to hit this scrape every time he's in the vicinity. So once you start these things in the summer, deer will start using them. And once deer start using them, you're good to go for the whole season. They'll continue using them all throughout the entire hunting season. So this is a perfect spot because we have so many trails intersecting here. So we'll just need some deer to start hitting it. And then once the big boys start showing up and they get into their fall patterns and they get into the rut, they'll be checking this scrape a lot. They'll be hitting it themselves. And guess what? We got to stand right there. We got a convergence of many different trails. You know, we're trying to use this to pull them in, but also to get their attention to the scrape and not looking around too much. So when they get within 30 yards of here, I want them honing in on this scrape and checking it out. That way I could be up there deciding whether I'm going to take a shot or not, right? And that's the whole plan. So let's go ahead and get this going. So let me get down, check it out. Yep, that's perfect. We want it about waist height, belly height. All right, so I'm gonna back up the Polaris, and then we'll work the scrape up here and get a nice scrape going. I'm also gonna take some logs and might position them to try to turn the deer. We don't want them coming in head first like this, right? Because we don't got a good shot. We want them to come around here, exposing their vitals, slightly quartering away as they turn, and we could stop them, shoot. So I might put a couple logs here to kind of try to pull them that way a little more. So let's back up and do that. All right, guys, so we got our licking branch. It's about waist height, which is good. What we really want is we want to get those deer, when they're coming in on the trail over here, we want them to circle around this tree. If they do that, they're giving us nice broadside, slightly quartering away shots, instead of them coming in head first. If they come in head first, then we don't really have much of a shot. You could try to do a straight on shot, but that's dangerous. Like, a good opportunity of missing a deer doing that or getting a bad shot, and we're not in the business of bad shots. So what I'm going to do, move a couple logs here, just to try to deter them a bit. There's a little bit of hump here. Right, so there's another one here I'm going to pick up. I'm just going to kind of put this one right here. So that alone, just subconsciously, if that deer is coming in this way, right, if they're coming in this way, they're going to be more likely to go around the tree, presenting a perfect shot for me here, right? They're less likely to come up over, and they might stick their head over and sniff that, but if they're going to want to check that scrape out, they're going to go around that way, more likely than even going this way. So I'm just going to keep those logs there. You can throw a rock right there. And now we're just going to work the scrape here. I usually have my scraping tool, but it's over in the Polaris, so I'm just going to use this ladder piece that we didn't use that broke off. And I'm going to make the scrape here. The other thing a deer might do is if they're coming on the bench from the opposite direction, which is north, northeast. They're going to circle right in, presenting a great shot. Hit this. If they're coming down the trail, they might walk right in. But because of these logs, if they're coming in this way or even behind me, they're going to go around this tree, giving us a shot. So make sure you pay attention to all the details. Mock scrapes, camera setup, stand setup, especially access, right? And figure on how it's all going to play together, right? You got to connect the dots. So, well, I'm going to probably stop the video right here. I'm a little worn out climbing up and down 2 different trees, just trying to figure out the best spot. But I'm excited. We got our mock scrape. I'm going to put a camera on one of these trees that are going to watch this hub. Probably back in here, it's a little thicker. And also, depending on which way the sun's going, I don't want it to blind the camera. But we'll get our camera up and then we're going to head back, see what the wife and the babies, Old Hunter's up to. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you picked up some tips. If you have any questions, let me know. If you saw anything, suggestions, whatever, I love to hear people's insight, opinions. I love sharing information, right? It all makes us better hunters. So have yourself a great day. Hope you're getting excited for the season. It's coming quick. So good luck and catch you later. Give you one last look at the scrape here. Got our licking branch. We got trail number 1, trail number 2, trail number 3, and then kind of got trail number 4 that splits off from this trail. So we got the hub on this bench, got food at top, lots of bedding back here, down over some of these drop-offs, over by the pipeline. There's some good bedding over in that area. So we're in between bedding and feeding, and we got ourselves a good spot where a big old boy can come through. All right, we'll catch you later.
Just a ride.